One bright spot for an otherwise dark defense of the New Orleans Saints. Stephon Anthony, young player with some ability, making some plays for the Saints against Carolina. Haoli Kikaha, another young player that has some promise as well, but otherwise, ouch is all we can say. As we take a look at the final score of the Saints and the Panthers, it was a good one, but Carolina remains unbeaten with a 41-38 victory over the Saints. And the Panthers are the 9th team in league history to start 12-0. And look at the Saints defense. They're getting better all the time. They held Carolina to under 500 yards. Okay, I've got to have some fun with this. Cam Newton, 5 touchdown passes, and it could have been more if Ted Ginn Jr. could catch the ball, but Newton was still brilliant. And the Panthers, 12-0, and that bodes well for them. Teams that start 12-0 in the Super Bowl era, 9 of those, 6 have gone to the Super Bowl, 4 have won the Super Bowl, so they're in pretty good shape. A lot of places we could start with this one, but Brian, let's start with this. The Saints played with passion, they played with emotion, they played effectively. They did some really good things on offense against an outstanding defense, but in the final analysis, they simply couldn't get enough stops.
Yeah, and you know, people say, well, what teams does this speak well about? I agree with you, Kenny. The Saints played with passion, they played with energy, and they played with emotion. Bottom line is they're just not good enough. You're up 14, got a chance to make it even bigger if Forbath makes that field goal in the first quarter. Then you're really in charge, and they're not able to take advantage of those opportunities. But I think it speaks well to Carolina. Carolina probably played its worst game of the year, Kenny. They go on the road in a tough environment and beat a football team that generally plays well at home. So we'll be interested to see how Carolina finishes this year out.
Should we be looking at another kicker already, Ricky? Again, you miss one inside of 40 yards indoors, you lose the game by 3 points. That's the difference in the game. You just can't have that in the NFL.
Well, I mean, you can't point fingers at him. He missed a kick, but I mean, he made some great kicks. He made kicks last week. But you got to point the finger at the defense. Defense gave up way too much yesterday. And just like Brian alluded to earlier, Ginn missed so many passes that would have really took them over the hump. So the kicker when it shouldn't even came down to the kicker, a guy make some of the easy catch. And Cam had a bad day. He throwed a lot of bad balls. Even though he had 5 touchdowns, he had guys wide open that he missed all game long.
Well, Cam Newton, you brought it up, versus the Saints, and he loves playing against the Saints. Let's take a look at some of the numbers of Cam Newton against the Saints, and there you go. In week 3, 64% completion, 68% Sunday. The yardage, over 300 yards. He's had 2 300-yard passing games, and oh, by the way, both against the New Orleans Saints. And then the touchdown, 7 to just 1 interception. Look at the passer rating, Brian. Over 120 combined for the 2 games. Can't love me some Saints, does he?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, he has owned the Saints, but he's not the only quarterback, Kenny. I mean, this seems like a weekly occurrence where guys, some real good quarterbacks and some just average quarterbacks are having career days. And yeah, Cam's feeding off the Saints pretty well. He's building a heck of a resume for an MVP award based on just the 2 games against the Saints.
Well, Keenan Lewis now has had hip surgery, his 2nd surgery of the year. Of course, he's already out for the year. Now you really have to be concerned with that 2nd surgery about his future. Damian Swann, you have to be concerned about his future with the concussions. And then, Ricky, Delvin Breaux makes a great play early in the game, and he gets hurt. Leg injury, doesn't return. So you're stuck with basically mishmash at cornerback, and they took total advantage of it.
Yeah, but I mean, they dropped a lot of balls yesterday, and I'll tell you what, that helped the Saints out. But Breaux made some great plays, and I mean, he was the long pass when he pulled his ham or whatever he pulled, he was all over his man. So he showed you that he can cover, but when they keep you going deep, that's tough on a cornerback playing one-on-one.
Okay, a lot of people are saying, why in the world do they leave 39 out there? The answer is they don't have anybody else. I just mentioned that they're down 3 corners, so you don't have anybody else. You've got to play him. There's no one else.
Well, Ken, you got to realize, Ken, all these teams have practice squad guys. There's a lot of practice squad guys out there playing defensive back that you can get that'll play better than Brown. So it's just, you need to do your homework and go out there and get them. I see teams every week picking up guys from other team practice squad. And that's what we need to do. We need to go out and pick up 2 or 3 corners from people practice squad and put them on our squad.
I'm sticking with you, Ricky, because you played the game. You know the position. It's obvious the guy can't play the position at this stage of his career under these rules in the NFL. It's obvious. He's targeted every week. He leads the league in penalties by a large margin. That's nothing new. He can't turn his hips to cover. He can't cover in space, and he's an obvious victim. So when you look at this, the problem is the dead money in terms of cap hit. If you did anything with him, you owe that man a lot of money.
Well, Ken, what I would do with him, I would put him in safety. I would try him more at the safety spot. He's not a corner. He's not built for a corner. He's too tall and he don't have good foot speed and hip movement. I would put him at safety and see how he do that. And I'll move Bird to strong safety and move him to free safety and see how that works. I mean, that's the only thing you can do with him. You can't. You get rid of him, you're gonna cost you a whole lot. So at this stage, I would try him at safety a little bit. See can he play that? He tall and lanky.
Well, Brian, he brings up Bird, and that's another problem. I mean, again, he got suckered a couple of times. He's late getting to the ball. There's nothing happening there. So when you look at these signings and the money involved over the last 2 years, it's an unmitigated disaster.
It is, and then you talk about moving people around in the back end of the secondary. You still got Kenny Vaccaro there. He's a #1 pick. He's a young player, but Browner is just 30 years old. Okay, if you move him to safety, he's not quick enough to cover a lot of area, in my opinion. And look, he keeps making the same mistakes. But here's where I would draw the line. All right, if I'm management, it's one thing, all right, to not make plays on the field. It's quite another to get into the face of a defensive coordinator, all right, which is already public knowledge. It's all over the internet, and they can sweep it under the rug. I understand that that's what they've got to do to keep things within their organization tight-lipped. But you know what? That's when you become a distraction. He was brought to be a leader on this team. That doesn't look like he's doing much leading.
I'll tell you one thing, Brian, in his defense, you don't know what happened
No,
in that
that's
situation.
true.
A lot of times the defensive coordinator started the problem.
But Ricky, you know as a player, you do not get in the face of a
but
coordinator.
a lot of time a coordinator get in your face, so you can't back down sometimes. I mean, in a certain situation. You run other players and you're a leader, coordinator say something to you, sometimes you have to say something back to him. Because, I mean, you bring Dennis Allen here, he's supposed to fix everything, and you don't see nothing being fixed. So, I mean, you can't put everything on the player all the time.
But you also have to be cognizant of the fact that you're on camera all the time. You're not going to escape the camera, especially in a feature game, which this was, a flex game at 325. They're going to find you, so you have to be aware of that, and you don't want to put that face forward, especially when all you hear about is how much better of a locker room they have this year. Browner has basically insulted reporters and gotten in their faces about things. He gets in the face of his defense coordinator, and he backs it up with terrible play. So I know he's a punching bag right now, but he's earned it based upon his play, and we can only go by what we see, and I know what we're seeing is real, and it's not good.
And Kenny, he's making the same mistakes week in, week out.
He's not good enough.
No, I know,
I mean,
and so, you know.
When you say mistakes, he's doing what he can.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, but you hop on him, Kenny, but you got to realize somebody brung him here.
Oh, there's no doubt about it.
Well, the same thing with Bird.
Right, but the thing
for
about
that matter, C.J. Spiller, if you want to.
So you bring all these guys here, and you're trying to get them to fit in when they don't fit in and they're not good enough. And the only thing you can do, Ken, is cut your losses. I mean, and Saints should have been did that a long time ago. So now the season halfway about over with. I mean, they look like to me they're gonna wait till the end of the year to cut their losses. I mean, but I know how y'all feel. You feel like they're not getting their money worth. They should have been cut their losses, but
not me. I just got finished saying you can't do that because you got too much invested. You've got to play them. You have no choice. You live with your mistake for now. Turnover is always a big part of the game. Key defensive plays, and yesterday was no exception against Carolina. Look at the key first half plays in this game. The interception by Delvin Breaux, what did the Saints do? They went 3 plays minus 1 yard, and they missed a field goal. Anthony's fumble recovery for a touchdown. Vaccaro fumble recovery, and we got nothing out of that. A punt resulted. Kevin Williams blocks the extra point, and of course Anthony returns it for a 2-pointer. Hadn't seen that before.
No.
That was new, and that was great to see. Like I said, the effort was very good. The problem is that it obviously wasn't good enough when you consider the fact that this was a team in Carolina that I think was ready to be had because they were not sharp and they may have been a little bit flat, Brian.
Absolutely, and you could just tell from the get-go that they were not, in the moment, and that's what Ron Rivera is trying to preach to this team because they're going to get everybody's best effort. I mean, everybody wants to knock the team out of the unbeaten ranks, but Kenny, the Saints, much like this is kind of a microcosm of their year, if you ask me. They have had tremendous leads at home, In the past, they've been able to protect those leads, preserve them, and go on and win. They haven't been able to do that the last couple of years.
Final word, Rick?
Yep.
Well, they offensive line. They're getting too many hits on Drew,
Yeah.
and I mean, he's not running enough, he's not moving around enough, and he's sitting there and everybody know where he at, and he getting hit too much. He gets up with his shoulder all the time, and that shows you right there that he getting hit a little too much.
We are brought to you today by the President's Award recipient, Toyota of New Orleans at 11801 East Interstate 10 Service Road in New Orleans East. At Premier, you'll get a reliable and stylish new or used car at a price you can afford with Premier's expansive inventory of new and used cars. Toyota of New Orleans is here to help you find your dream car. And as you can see, there are many beautiful cars waiting for you to take home. That's Toyota of New Orleans, President Awards recipient. Back to talk about the NFL when Sports NOLA TV continues in a moment.